Who do you think is better for the country, Trump or Biden?
Trump.
I say Trump.
Why do you say that?
He's a businessman. He's going to think business. And Biden is a racist.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Black Chicago voters denouncing President Joe Biden and advocating for President Donald Trump. Now, before I say anything else, am I saying that this is all Chicago voters or even a majority of them? No, I'm not. Not at all. Because I know Chicago and I know the Black community. You're talking about an 85% rate of voting for the Democratic Party in the city of Chicago, regardless of skin color. And then when you go to the Black community, it's even higher. 90, 95, almost 100% of the Black community votes for the Democratic Party in Chicago. And nationwide, it's like 93%. Now, among younger Black males, it's much lower than Black females, but that's a different story, and I digress. The point is, I know it's a very high percentage of the Black community who votes for the Democratic Party. I get it. However, if you go from 90, 95% down to 80%, that'll change things overnight. Listen, from 90% to 80% would change things overnight. So I'm not expecting some seismic shift to go from almost 100% to 50%. 5 to 10% change would change things in this country. It'll change things in some of these cities. And from what I saw in that clip, which we're going to watch a little bit more of in a second, I'm pretty encouraged. I think that we're going in the right direction, because how much more losing, how much more inadequate policy, how many more things can be done to actively harm an entire city, like sanctuary cities? That's one big thing right there. Some are going to say, well, hey, ABL, it's not the government's responsibility to do things for you. Well, they have some responsibilities. I'm not saying they should be omnipotent, omnipresent, and have your hand in everything that, you know, they shouldn't have their hand in every part of your life. But maybe they should not allow thousands upon thousands of these so-called migrants into your city. I'm not sure how many have poured into Chicago and taken over their community centers, their schools, their airports, and everywhere else. But I know you had 170,000 of these so-called migrants in New York City in about 18 months' time. And I'm sure Chicago is not too far behind. They are coming into the suburbs. There's all kind of stuff going on. You got the mayor, Brandon Johnson, having panic attacks and getting hospitalized, allegedly, because of what's happening with the migrant crisis, although he, a Democrat, is partially responsible for them coming. Same thing with their governor, J.B. Pritzker, also a Democrat. What I saw right here is very encouraging. Now, before I go too far into it, let's go ahead and roll the full clip. If you want to see the clip info without my commentary, link, as always, will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it. And look at your man right there, Eric Adams. This is not about him, but he's involved just as much as Brandon Johnson and everybody else. Let's go ahead and roll it.
All right. Well, Todd, it was not just Eric Adams touting diversity. President Biden also boasting about his support from the Black community.
Look, folks, we will be back here next year. This community is the reason why I'm standing here.
So we got a bunch of Black folks in the White House for a Black History Month event. Okay, a lot of Black Democrats who are getting what? Maybe they're getting checks from the federales, but they're not getting anything as far as their community if they live in the Black community, which you probably don't.
This community. I promised the administration it would look like America. And I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in all of American history.
I don't care about diversity. They could be 100% white, 100% Black. It doesn't matter. Are you able to get the job done or not? That's all I really care about. Skin color to me in this particular instance doesn't matter, but let's keep on rocking.
But it seems like some Black voters aren't on the same page as the president. Watch this.
Who do you think is better for the country, Trump or Biden?
Trump.
I say Trump.
Why do you say that?
He's a businessman. He's going to think business. And Biden is a racist.
No wars, great policies, best years in the stock market. Who do you think has done more for the Black community, Trump or Biden?
I didn't even see Biden yet. I know Trump was out here.
Biden, that's everything.
Biden ain't doing. We gonna get rid of his sleep.
Quentin Jordan is the vice president of the Black Conservative Federation. He took that video and he joins us now. Quentin, good morning to you. Tell us more about that video and the responses you got. Did everybody really pick Donald Trump over Joe Biden?
Good morning. The videos are as clear as we can make them. We spent about an entire day going across different communities on the south side of Chicago, and the resounding response that we received is that Black Americans are fed up with Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. They feel as if the campaign made a lot of promises that they didn't hold up to. They feel
Now, the promises, we know about those. We know about the whole student loan kerfuffle. We know about, oh, we're going to have a strong economy. He'll go out there, speaking about Joe Biden, he'll go out there and say we have a strong economy. But then when you actually look at what's happening in the streets, things aren't quite that way. We got homelessness rising, crime rising, overall poverty rising, inflation, all that kind of stuff. Oh, inflation's going down. I can't tell. I just covered a story on my live stream of a Big Mac in one particular part of the country. A Big Mac meal costs $18 US. Now, I don't care what part of the country you in. You could be right in the heart of San Francisco, California, Silicon Valley. A Big Mac meal, a halfway real, halfway fake hamburger, some fries, and a soft drink should not cost $18 US. But I digress.
used for their votes, and there's a large shift that we're seeing across Black America, across the country, where they're leaning more towards Donald Trump and Republicans, and the Democratic Party is falling far behind.
Why, Quentin? What are they saying about Donald Trump when you speak to folks who live in Black communities and inner city neighborhoods?
One of the things that's playing in Donald Trump's favor is that Black Americans are starting to become more involved in conversations that they typically would not have been. So Donald Trump is starting to sound like he was right on a lot of topics. The migrant crisis is one that is a clear example.
That's been a really big thing in Chicago. I've seen plenty of these city hall events where you got a lot of Black residents standing up and saying, hey, go back to where you came from, go back home, all this, that, and the third, as far as the migrants. Now, as he continues, I have to interject and address the obvious elephant in the room. We can have the Black community say these things in Chicago, and we can really feel that way. A lot of us do feel that way. But then when it comes to voting, number one, are we going to show up? Do you know that 70% of those who make below 30 grand a year do not vote at all? And that's regardless of skin color. And a lot of us, unfortunately, in the community, as we call it, make that kind of money. So a lot of us simply not voting. So we got to get out to the polls. We have to vote. And then for those of us who do vote, we got to understand what's happening and make a conscious decision to vote differently and not at the same 90% rate we've been doing since civil rights. But let's continue.
Black and brown communities are being disproportionately affected as illegal migrants are being pushed into their communities. They're being given resources that Black Americans have been fighting for decades. And the Democratic Party doesn't seem to have an answer for it. And the Black community just feels as if, again, they've been lied to, they've been used for their votes. And it's obvious that the resources have been there because they're being given away to people who don't even pay taxes.
Oh my gosh.
That's right. Like I said, in previous videos on my live stream and whatnot, they have spent $451 billion, estimated $451 billion US on these migrants since 2022 summertime, when the whole migrant crisis really kind of kicked off. 450 billion with a B dollars.
So true about that. And we're hearing that from Black residents across the country. And I think that this issue, the southern border issue, is impacting those communities in ways that Joe Biden never anticipated. And that's the kind of issue that people.
Joe Biden doesn't care about the impact. You know, he don't really care about the impact. He has marching orders. Get all these migrants in here for the cheap labor to shore up the economy. That's the orders he's been given. It's very simple. And then if you have people who are affected negatively by this, so whatever. We don't really care about them. They're going to vote for us regardless. That's the thought process that's going on here. You got to understand that. And if you don't understand that, then we're just not really on the same page, and we're not really looking at reality for what it is.
People do remember in November because it's a quality of life issue. I used to have a community center and now I don't. Those people are getting prepaid debit cards and I'm not. And now Joe Biden is trying to spin it and he's trying to say, I'm trying to secure the southern border, but former President Trump is standing in my way because of this Senate bill that he doesn't want to have pass.
Now, there's more to the video, but I'll stop it right there. It's kind of a longer video. But yeah, shout out to the black residents out there in Chicago. Again, people are saying the right things and it's very encouraging. I feel good. I like that people are able to see kind of what's going on. But at the same time, we got to get out there and vote like we are speaking about. How many of these residents who are talking about who they like and don't like in Southside Chicago and other parts of the community, as we call it, how many of them actually go out there and vote at all? And then if they do vote, who are they voting for? 95%, man, the numbers don't lie. We got to tighten that up. And until we tighten that up, all the talking and whatnot doesn't really matter. Let's let the vote match the talking. When that happens, then we got something going. Now we're cooking with gas. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to all the residents out there in Chicago, not being afraid to tell you who they want to vote for. I'll tell you something right here, though. Here's more encouragement. A few years ago, to say something like that publicly, to say you're going to vote for Trump, maybe like during the 2016 election, it was a big thing. Like when I first started doing videos on 2015 on YouTube, it was a big thing to be a black conservative or to want to vote for a Republican. That was a big no-no. But now it's becoming less of a taboo thing. And that's part of the reason why I came on YouTube, is because I wanted people like me to not be seen as oddities. We're just regular Americans like anybody else. If you want to vote Democrat for whatever the reason may be, maybe you smoke crack for a living and you brain dead. Okay, that's fine. It's your decision. We're living in a free country. And if you want to vote for the Republicans, if you want to vote for the right, if you want to vote for those who are more liberty-minded, then go for it because you're an American. You can do that. I didn't want it to be, you got to vote one way, and if you don't, then you're just a bad person. I didn't want that to be the thing. I wanted it to be open for everybody to do what they wanted to do without being looked at as some kind of oddity because of your skin color and voting a certain way. And I think we've been able to achieve that. But we got to actually achieve the improvements when it comes to who we're voting for, who we're not voting for. And till we do that, then we're still going to be having an uphill battle. And it might be a little bit too late if we wait too long. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what said you? What's your take on the video that I played of the black voters out there in Chicago saying, okay, no mas, we got to do something else, or at least not liking who's in office? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. It's encouraging because, again, going back to 2016, there wouldn't have been people outside openly saying that kind of thing. But now that it's not so much of a taboo, you can say you don't like this guy and you do like that guy. That's a good step. But we got to make these steps. We can't afford in the community to take baby steps. We got to really be running. We got to, because we're already behind. All right. We can't get left with what's happening right here with the migrant crisis. And that is most certainly, unfortunately, a real possibility. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.